Good morning, everyone. I'm Josee Thibault. I'm the Director of Philanthropy at Mars Discovery District, and I'm delighted to be. I'm hoping the next 30 minutes will be Am I okay? Okay. I'm hoping that the next 30 minutes will be insightful, maybe inspiring conversation about how we at Mars are using our platform to unlock innovative approaches that solve some of the biggest problems that our society is facing today. And I want to thank Jessica for your panel for so beautifully cueing for us. Do I need to do anything about this mic? Yeah. This is my first time. I know. Hold it. How's this? Is this better? I think I got it. All right. Hi, everyone. Oh, no. Yeah. Okay. What am I doing now? Huh? Yeah. I'm just going to sit right here. We're going to switch it out. I'll just put it right here. Okay, let's try this now. How's this now? Innovation, everyone. Awesome. Okay, good. Okay, next 30 minutes, next 28 minutes. Insightful, maybe even inspiring, how Mars is using our platform to unlock innovative approaches that are tackling some of the biggest issues that our society is facing today. Mars has long been a leader in three core areas: social finance, startups, and systems change. And we've reached a pivotal moment where we can integrate those areas of expertise to address societal challenges more effectively, more rapidly, and in our own unique way. In fact, we're developing a unique project that aligns investment dollars with philanthropic goals for transformative climate impact, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. If you don't know Mars already, or if you missed our quick intro video, Mars Discovery District is a registered charity. We are North America's largest urban innovation hub. We span 1.5 million square feet of labs and offices in Toronto. We really pride ourselves on building communities and on supporting Canadian innovators from across the country. We're really coast to coast to coast, especially those who are striving to solve some of the world's largest problems. We also work really hard to accelerate the adoption of those high-impact solutions, especially in areas like health, a productive economy, and climate. And I'll tell you, Canada is not lacking in innovation, in industriousness, in uncovering transformative solutions. But we are a pretty cautious bunch when it comes to adopting those solutions and bringing them to scale. The work that we do and that I'm going to talk to you about now it's embedded in our origin story. And Mars was founded through the vision of Dr. John Evans and a committed group of philanthropists and leaders from multiple sectors across Canada. They believed in the power of Canadian researchers and innovators to change the world for the better, for sure. But just as importantly, they saw the importance of taking that extra step, of creating the conditions of success for those innovators so that those innovations could get out of the lab and see the light of day, so that the Canadian economy could benefit from them, and so that we, as individual human beings, could benefit from them as well. The Mars theory of change is simple but ambitious. We believe that by supporting the commercialization and the adoption of cutting-edge innovations and startups, we can drive progress and create a positive impact on a global scale in climate, health, and the economy. It's so simple, you guys. So how we do that has evolved over the years, and I like to think that we've influenced the Canadian innovation economy along the way. Let's talk specifically about climate and clean tech. Here, Mars has a pretty long history. We've nurtured companies with groundbreaking technologies that tackle everything from renewable energy to technologies that decarbonize buildings, to sustainable agriculture, the tools that are going to help us get to a net zero economy. We've contributed to the creation of climate investors like Arcturn, and we've convened the country around the adoption of climate technologies with our flagship Mission from Mars program. Most recently, and I'm really proud of this one, we announced our own purchase of carbon removal credits from 5 Canadian ventures, becoming one of the first charitable organizations to do so, and hopefully encouraging the development of a nascent market in the process. By fostering these innovations, we aim to not only make a contribution towards climate action, but also to propel Canada to the forefront of the global clean tech landscape. We're proud of what we've accomplished to date, but we've also identified significant gaps that are holding us back from truly achieving impact at scale, that are going to require a whole new set of philanthropists, of investors, of leaders from multiple sectors, again, across Canada. If we want to make real significant impact, we need more than innovative companies. We need new innovative investment vehicles. We need visionary partners to join us in creating those conditions for success. So we're going to share with you our plans for a catalytic climate capital fund and platform with you. I'm saying we because my colleague Leah Perry, a senior manager at Mars Discovery District, is going to join me in a second. Leah has a rich history of working closely with entrepreneurs and innovators to bring transformative climate innovations to the market. She's going to share her insights on how the market has evolved and where gaps still exist and what we might be able to do about it collectively. But as Leah makes her way up, I'm going to share another video, a snippet of our work through the RBC Women in Clean Tech program. It's a quick video. I hope that it illuminates a few things. One, I hope it'll give you a clearer sense of what we do at Mars. I think sometimes that's a bit of a question. So what we actually do. It's also a good example of our commitment to leveling the playing field for underrepresented entrepreneurs, something we care very deeply about. And maybe more importantly, I hope that it's a small sample of some of the ventures we work with. I hope that it gives you a sense of optimism and a sense of what's possible through Canadian clean tech. So my friend Kevin is going to cue that up for me.
Canada is a world leader in clean tech, but when it comes to gender representation, there's still a gap. Research shows that only 1 in 10 clean tech founders is a woman, and only 19% of Canadian clean tech companies has at least one woman founder. The RBC Women in Clean Tech Accelerator is on a mission to change this. The program supports women from across the country who are developing high-impact products and services to help address the climate crisis. These entrepreneurs are given access to a network of experts and mentors, along with educational resources, market intelligence, and investor connections. And this support is paying dividends. The latest RBC Women in Clean Tech cohort shares their most recent achievements.
I'm Emily Fair, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Genuine Taste. I think when we started, we were just starting work in the lab. We were just starting to make small samples. And since then, we've gotten to the point where we have 2 paid pilots with major global corporations. So one is an ingredient company, and one is a global CPG.
Hi, my name is Rachel Frekamp. I am the CEO of Arena Revolution. Every step of the way, we've been scaling up everything that we've done. I think our biggest win has been making it into phase 2 Canada's Impact Challenge at the AAFC, where we received $450,000 non-dilutive funding.
I'm Jennifer Cote. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Opalia. Our biggest win is actually making milk. Our first prototype was made a couple months ago. When we started the program, it was a little bit over an idea, and now it's actually happening.
I'm Kaylee Dale, and I'm the co-founder and CEO at Friendlier. We've made a lot of connections, lots of investors. We closed our seed round, so the program lead and the advisors at Mars were super helpful in making those connections for us and really personalized intros. It wasn't just, big networking sessions. They really held your hand and connected you to the people that you needed to be connected to.
I'm Stephanie Liff, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Michael Features. Our biggest win since joining the Women in Clean Tech program has been getting our material to the point of creating our first product prototype, which is a handbag with hardware, and it will actually be on display in a museum in Austria. So we're really excited that we've gone from a small card holder last year to a full handbag this year.
My name is Natasha Kostina, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ayrton Energy. I think our biggest win so far has been doing our first fundraise. We closed our first raise in March of this year, which enabled us to triple the size of our team and file some new IP and really kickstart and speed up our tech development.
I'm Natalie Duncan. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bugmars. Our biggest win has been getting a Canadian Space Agency grant with Carleton University.
My name is Rory Agigi. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Light One. The biggest lesson that we have learned is the fact that we are not alone in this. There are a lot of challenges that come our way constantly, and knowing the fact that others are going through them exactly the same way or even more. And being a part of this empowering woman group has been really powerful.
Women in Clean Tech is fundamental to us helping women bring their incredible skills, abilities to the challenge of getting Canada to net zero. It's phenomenal for us to help those women on their paths through the challenges of the clean technology system.
These visionaries, along with other women founders from across Canada, are driving the climate innovations of tomorrow. And with the support of RBC Women in Clean Tech, we're helping to advance these breakthrough ideas into market-ready solutions with the potential for global impact.
All right. The milk thing's pretty freaky.
Let's check it. Yep, we're good.
That's awesome. Leah, hi. How are you enjoying the conference so far?
Good. Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's good, eh? Yeah. So you've spent a decade in clean tech being a nascent sector that's a pretty long time. How have you seen the sector evolve?
Yeah, it's a great first question. I mean, back in 2014, it was definitely a lot more of a lonely place. The fact that I was so happy yesterday to see so many of the topics and the discussions, not only on ESG investment, but a lot on climate and even clean tech in general. So, I mean, a lot more people have joined it, a lot more talk about it, and a lot more commitments. I mean, we've seen governments commit to a net zero future, which represent over 88% of global emissions. We've seen corporations jump on board, a lot from heavy industry. So the commitment is there, which is really great to see. From a technology point of view, and I think that last video gave you a really good insight, in 2014, it was much more synonymous, clean tech with renewable energy. We're now, I mean, you saw some awesome examples, making milk without cows. I mean, who would have thought of that? But at Mars, we help companies that help to, decarbonize buildings. We had a lot of talk about that yesterday. Decarbonize cement, steel, the mining industry, food and agriculture, and even some consumer goods. So the technologies that are available today have grown so much within the last 10 years. A great example, just to bring it a bit more home, and we talked about decarbonizing heavy industry a little bit in the last panel, is a company called Summit Nanotech. They're top of mind because they actually won our first Women in Clean Tech Challenge. They weren't even incorporated in 2018 when we first got to know them, and they raised over $50 million last year in a Series A round. So the growth has been pretty awesome to witness. But they have a clean lithium extraction technology, and so everyone has phones in their pockets. To get to a net zero future, we need EVs, and so we need metals and minerals, and we really do understand that. And we're seeing a lot more clean technologies tackle those heavy industries. The other thing to note, and I think you mentioned this a little bit at the beginning, is Canada is really good at this. So our position on the global stage is well known. When I speak with American investors, they're really excited to get to understand and get to meet Canadian clean tech companies. This year, within the global top 100 for clean tech companies, there was 13 Canadian companies. Besides the US, we were the only country to get that amount of representation. And so it really shows that we're doing a pretty good job when it comes to actually creating the innovation. 8 of those 13 were also Mars Ventures, so we like to throw that in there. However, and I think what we'll dive deep in today is recent investment trends are threatening that position. And so in 2023, looking at that same Global Clean Tech 100 list, so these are the top companies. They should be getting the most money. The median deal size for Canadian ventures on that list was 50% less than their US counterparts. So it's competing with your direct competitors with 50% less capital. And so if that continues and only unfortunately continues to grow, and I should have brought the graph that illustrates the disparity. It didn't used to be like that. That's a trend that's happened within the last particularly 3 years, where the US climate tech investment landscape is really outpacing us. That 13 is just gonna diminish, unfortunately. So we want more climate innovation in Canada, and it really does start at the earliest of stages.
So let's talk about that a little bit more, because you work with Mars's clean tech portfolio, not just the Women in Clean Tech, so that's about 250 ventures. Can you talk a little bit more about those investment trends?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot that we could dive into, but I'll hamper on one that's really occupying our mind lately, and that's that. And stay with me. I'll kind of decode some of these terms, but that clean tech, hard tech, deep tech companies are really struggling to secure seed capital. And so when we talk about seed capital, it's those earliest stages of investment, typically your first or your second equity round. When we talk about hard tech, deep tech, think non-software only solutions. So usually solving deep scientific engineering challenges, large infrastructure, deep chemistry. So examples, carbon capture technologies, hydrogen transportation technologies, textiles from upcycled waste, all companies we also work with today.
They're really transformative stuff.
They're really transformative. Yeah. There's so much impact that can come from those types of companies. In the Canadian clean tech investment community, within the last, again, 3 to 5 years, but particularly 3 years, has really shifted to investing in de-risked software solutions. There's a reason, we can get into it. It fits the VC model a lot better, but the impact is not gonna be nearly as strong, as well as later stage investments. They're still earlier stage than a lot of the other kind of solutions we were talking about yesterday, but not at that seed stage. And so it's leaving a huge gap for a lot of the companies that we work with. And that's where that stat of getting 50% less funding is coming from. And we're also seeing the beginnings of starting to lose our amazing R&D and innovation to the US. They're finding all their capital down there. There's great incentives with the Inflation Reduction Act now. And so the innovation that we're helping to cultivate is really going south of the border. And why this is concerning is exactly to your point earlier, is that there is absolutely a place for software in our fight against climate change. It increases efficiency, which reduces energy consumption in a lot of cases. But one, you need infrastructure for software to operate. And also when you look at the actual GHG impact of hard tech, deep tech versus software, I mean, there's just no comparison. These companies are physically sucking carbon out of the air, minimizing our reliance on oil and gas, and reducing waste. And so I guess to come back to your question, we've seen a lot of movement within the full climate capital stack within the last 10 years. There's a lot more to come, but we have more options now for project finance. We have more options now for debt financing. But at the earliest of stages, these impactful technologies are really being kind of boxed into the traditional financing and VC model, which unfortunately just isn't working in their favor.
So tell me more about that. What is the challenge with this VC model that makes it so difficult?
Yeah, it really comes down to a few things with traditional venture capital. So I'll hamper on two. One is timelines, and the second is due diligence metrics. So for timelines, if you think of your traditional VC fund, a lot investing in software as a service, SaaS, the growth, I'm not going to say it's easy. Any startup is not easy to grow. But really, after you have your software solutions, if you continue to find more customers, and a lot of the times, I mean, there's probably a lot of Netflix accounts in the room here. You get one, you're going to get for the rest of your life almost. That hockey stick growth that we always talk about in venture capital is a lot easier to achieve. For hard tech companies, they're building infrastructure, they're using chemistry, and so their development cycles are going to be a lot longer. And if they do need to pivot, it's going to be slower iterations. And so that time to revenue is a lot longer. That exponential growth that VCs are looking for, it's capable. We have examples to point to, but it just takes a lot longer. And so finding an exit within the typical VC 10-year fund life cycle is just really difficult for these types of companies. Funds have the pressure to return their money back to LPs within that 10-year. We recently did a survey with our hard tech, deep tech, clean tech companies, those that self-identify in that, and 100% of them had said that they had been turned away by a VC because of fund timelines, just that they couldn't exit they don't foresee them exiting within those 10 years, which makes sense. It takes them a lot longer to get to revenue, so obviously it's gonna take them a lot longer to exit. And so we really need solutions that don't box these companies in. And so the answer in a lot of cases is more patient capital. The second one, and I'll just do it really quickly, is on wrong metrics applied. Showing commercial traction takes time. We see a lot of VCs, but even more so angel investors that are really excited about this space, but have only historically invested in software companies. And so they're using the same metrics to evaluate the companies. Obviously, they a lot of times don't have revenue at the seed stage, and so just training people to make sure that they can evaluate the companies differently based on software versus hard tech is a challenge we're definitely experiencing.
That's good. So bringing a catalytic climate capital to Canada, it fills that early stage gap. It, like you said, it helps keeps good jobs and grow good jobs. In Canada, it fights climate, et cetera, et cetera. You want to get it right. And it's a big job. It's a big investment. It's transformative. So you need capital, but surely you need more than capital. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Capital, we're strong believers, is only one part of the solution, and it's where a lot of the programmatic support that we do at Mars comes in. So the first is commercialization support. A lot of these founders that we work with are technical by nature. They're light years smarter than I could ever be when it comes to the innovations that they come up with. But we don't see that many serial entrepreneurs yet in this space. And so, making sure that we can provide advisory on business plan, go-to-market, sales and marketing is a huge skill gap that we fill actively at Mars. Obviously, that talent gets added to the actual team as they grow and scale, but at the earliest of stages, it's definitely needed. The second is adoption support. We say a lot, if no one buys it at the end of the day, what's the point? Yeah. We really need to make sure that corporations buy these technologies to make sure that the climate impact that was set out is there. And so we have key programs to help support that. It can either be full system change, so you mentioned our carbon management mission, where we're really bringing the Canadian market together to learn through purchasing carbon credits. But it can also be some little details that just when you get the right people in the room, you find those out. So a great example is a company we worked with last year called Flash Forest. They plant trees with drones. Canada has a goal to plant more than 2 billion trees. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot in forest fires, but they were unable to apply to the government's RFP process for a few questions, but one that's funny when you point out was, how many tree planters are you employing? Well, the answer is not many. They plant trees with drones. And so they actually weren't able to apply to the RFP process. So Mars got NRCan and a few stakeholders, as well as the company, in a room to talk through these new innovations. And they were actually able to change their RFP process, which allowed Flash Forest to win a $1.3 million contract. They've planted 1 million trees in some of our worst forest fire affected areas. Obviously, it's also a lot safer for drones to go in there than people. Yeah. And so sometimes it's just getting down to root issues that you need that third party that really understands adoption, like Mars, to move that forward. The last one, and I'll cheat a little bit here because it is capital, but is just on follow-on capital. We're very aware to not be a bridge to nowhere. And so these companies need to, one, understand the full climate capital stack, what is available to them at each stage of growth. Mars has that understanding, as well as connections. We have connections to over 300 climate-focused investors. So when they get to that point, we can make those connections and make sure that they're fully funded throughout that full growth life cycle.
It's a real home for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm hearing, there's some echoes to the earlier panel where Jessica was talking about, investment in diabetes, juvenile diabetes solutions, and it's a longer arc, right? It's you have to think about it with a much longer timeline. And she mentioned venture philanthropy as sort of, one of the solution to that. I'm curious how that resonates with you, and really, what's your vision for a catalytic climate investment platform?
Yeah, no, I'm glad that was mentioned before. And I'll start with saying that we're really inspired by some of the US models. There's a reason that they have 50% more funding. They figured out how to utilize catalytic capital. So if you haven't heard of Prime Coalition in the room, I would highly encourage you to check it out. It is one of the neatest models that we've seen. They've created the Prime Impact Fund as well as Azola Ventures. And so they've tapped into catalytic capital with visionary families, foundations, and even corporations. They've really tapped into PRIs to be able to fill this current gap. Yeah. So we're super inspired by what has already been gone down in the States. But ultimately, we want to make sure that the R&D that's happening here in Canada can be commercialized here in Canada. And so that here in Canada, we not only benefit from the climate impact, but we also create really awesome sustainable jobs for the future and don't lose all of those jobs south of the border. And then globally, we'll export those solutions and the world can benefit from the climate impact as well. And so what we envision for our climate capital platform is it would invest at the seed stage. It would have a patient return profile so that, Prime Coalition, again, it's really modeled after what they've done. They have a 15-year fund timeline. It solves exactly that problem that we talked about of being boxed into the traditional model. We also envision a blended finance solution. We're talking early stage venture capital here. We know there's high risk, high reward, but we really believe that having an investor base that includes PRIs, recoverable grants, as well as your more typical equity investments allows us to extend past those 10 years and also allows, the certain investors to absorb their level of risk that they're willing to do. The unique part about the Mars solution is that after those investments would be made, then our system support would kick in. And so you get access, front row access to all of our climate programs, our advisory. You could be the next Flash Forest. We'd really double down on those companies, again, de-risking them for the future since we're all a team trying to move it forward. So that's where we're hoping. We're on our way to achieving our vision. So we have put together an advisory board. It has some pretty impressive folks from the venture capital community, the family office community. Sarah Kearney, who is the founder and executive director of Prime, is on our advisory board and has been very gracious in sharing all of the docs and all of the papers that she did to start Prime. As well as Adam Spence from SVX, who I know we talked about was mentioned a few times yesterday. That was also an ex-Martian. And so we're working on the design of it. We really want, to the earlier panel's point, for this to be done in collaboration with this ecosystem. And so we'd love to chat with anyone in the room if you're interested in helping us to shape that future.
It's really about treating climate like the existential issue that it is, right? And when you treat it that way, it's like all of the silos and all of the silos begin to dissolve, and you're really just starting to look at every single instrument to solve that problem. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Leah.
Yeah.
I think we've got like 1 minute for one question. If there's any questions, there is.
Hi. Leah, thank you very much for your passion and your curiosity into clean tech. Clean tech is all-encompassing, trying to differentiate these different verticals sort of thing. I picked up the Globe and Mail this morning, and unfortunately on the front page of the business section, there was the Capital Power canceling a $2.whatever billion project on carbon capture. And unfortunately, headline risk. You isolated and talked specifically about small building, building up that. But unfortunately, government likes to go big. So the question is with headwinds like that, how do you sort of overcome the fundraising aspect of it?
We're definitely well aware of it, for sure. I mean, we talk a lot, the message of we actually have a lot of the technologies here and already made in Canada. And so it's about fully getting them to market, but getting them to market in a really smart way. And so you kind of do have to take it one step at a time. And hopefully if they do scale, not from 0 to 100, but we're working with them through each of those steps. We hope that, you know, by the time that they do get there, they'll be proven out enough that you know, there won't be that argument necessarily.
Can I ask a quick yes or no question?
No. Yes.
So I love the RBCX program supporting women entrepreneurs. Do you have any plans to expand this to fund Black, Indigenous, and other visible minorities?
We would love to. It's the type of programming that can only be done in partnership, you know, that comes from, this is what we have to offer, and we have a fair bit to offer, and these are the gaps that we have that we don't. So we would only do this work in partnership with others, and we are absolutely open and having conversations with folks to build cohorts, if not cohorts, different types of programming. We do have some Indigenous outreach within our Mission from Mars programming, but there's a lot more that we can do, always in partnership. Yeah, thank you for that question. It's a yes and. Thank you.